Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam, and welcome to Walk On Wednesday. Walk On Wednesday is when we take a person that we dig, we think is cool, doing something cool, and we introduce them to our audience, or maybe they know the audience, we get to know them a little bit better. And today we have our good friend, Dhyana Prema is here, and she just wrote a cool new book called Ayurveda Mama.
Ayurveda Mama.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. First, I'm just so moved as you were doing that greeting. I was literally crying. It's just amazing to see all of you getting up so early. And I know you are all around the world, but like, wow.
That early. It's like 11 o'clock in some places. Some people are
but I'm sure some people are on the West Coast that are on here, and it's very early for the West Coasters.
Yeah. They're just staying up late.
For people that are just that aren't in on Zoom, we greet everyone on Zoom before we edit, cut, and then so you might just be listening from now. But Raghu greets everybody every morning on Zoom. It's like 100 people.
I learned that in the Waldorf school. You know, they make the kids say, "Good morning, Mrs." You know, nowadays kids are so casual. You know what I mean? It's always like, "Oh, it's it's a like I'm getting a kid call me Raghu." I never called any parent by their first name. That was just like unheard of.
Yeah, right.
Mr. George. Who does that? So you look at the teacher in the eye, you shake their hand, and you say, "Good morning, Miss, Pincus. Good morning, Mr. Bala." And it's just like a nice way with the I greeting. So I like to do that. I learned that. And so how's it being? You're a new mama. How old is your son now?
He is 16 months almost. And so it feels like it's been a long time actually. But I saw Bobby's on here. I'm like, oh, she's a mama and she can get up early to come join Wisdom of the Sages. Maybe I can do that. Actually, I heard him. He just woke up, so my mama's here to take care of him while I get to be with all of you this morning.
Mama Mulika. Now, Mama Mulika, she's a regular listener every day to Wisdom of the Sages, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
She's a fan.
Her
and I have a special bond. You know,
definitely
going to India together, coming back from India together, visiting her in the hospital, all these things.
Totally. You were her angel, you and your wife.
Okay. Love her.
Dhyana is a storehouse of Ayurvedic wisdom because her dad is a Ayurvedic, I don't know what you call it, practitioner, doctor, theorist, kavi. Yeah. And so there she grew up with the Ayurvedic family, and then and when she had her and her sister had a baby at the same time, pretty smart planning. and now you've got this book, which is perfect timing and I think it's one of those, it's going to fill a need in the community for, okay, how do I do this with a kid? Okay, I get it. I'm a yogi. I try to put these principles in my life. How do I do it with a kid? I thought that was a very smart move. Dhyana Prema. And how's it going with the book and the response, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I felt when I was writing it. when I was pregnant, I was kind of looking for this book, but I couldn't find it anywhere, which is really, Bhakti-yogi and Ayurveda's approach to conception, to pregnancy, to the postpartum window. And then especially when I was in what Ayurveda calls the sacred window, those postpartum days, which is a very powerful time for a mama and also an important time for a baby. I was getting so many emails, probably more messages than I've ever received, about mamas being like, why isn't this information out there? I wish I knew this when I was pregnant. You have to tell me more. And so that's actually what moved me to write this book was, the importance for parents to know that, at the moment of conception, the soul enters in. And we have such a responsibility to kind of fix our consciousness in a certain way, prepare our bodies in a certain way to welcome that soul in. But then also at the moment of conception, that means the soul is there. And so everything we're doing, everything we're seeing, everything that we're eating is beginning to affect that soul. It's creating the impressions that, usually we spend our entire lives trying to rid ourselves of those impressions. And so we have to be mindful that we're beginning to impress, life onto this little being at such an important time.
It's an amazing concept that the consciousness at the time of conception attracts a different soul.
Totally. Yeah.
It's quite amazing.
Yeah, that like the physical health of the parents lays the foundation for the physical health of the little being. The guna in the mind creates the mental state of that little being. And then, the consciousness, where that mama and dad are spiritually, and that moment attracts a certain soul that is in a specific place on their spiritual journey. And so, and really, Srila Prabhupada says that it's the parents' responsibility to take this child back to Godhead. And so, knowing that, it's like we want to invite in a certain soul, and we want to begin preparing for that before we even welcome the soul into our wombs.
So it kind of helps you pick a good baby. Is that what's going on?
You gotta be careful.
Bring in a good one.
You can't be like, well, I didn't ask for you.
Or at least, I guess, with challenges that the parents are equipped to handle in some way.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a beautiful book. For people that want to find this book, you go to thesisterscience.com, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's all kinds of information about the book, Ayurveda Mama. And it's got the table of contents there. It looks so thorough.
Thank you.
Not great. If
I was pregnant,
I'd be getting this
as well.
It's going to be on Amazon soon. I wanted to first make it available on my website, and so probably in the next month or so. I think that'll make it more available.
If you do end up, I'm sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I think Amazon will probably make it more available for people international, because I know shipping costs can be quite high.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's available now.
Great. If you get it there on Amazon later, you can always write a very positive review.
Oh, please.
Helps as well.
Please.
And postpartum, that's after the baby. It's like the 40 days of sort of hunkering down with baby.
Yeah, every culture around the world has a sacred way of caring for mama postpartum, because actually for the first 6 weeks or so, the baby doesn't yet know itself as separate from mama. And so everything that mama is experiencing, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, the baby is also experiencing in their body. And so there's a very beautiful, sacred way to care for mama so that she can heal. And, in our modern society, usually what we hear about postpartum are things like postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, postpartum hair loss, postpartum weight gain. We hear so many of the imbalances, but it's not meant to be like that. Nature didn't design for it to be like that. And if mama is cared for in a really deep way, then she can really show up and care for her baby in a very profound way that really creates the foundation of this baby knowing that first, I am safe, I'm deeply loved and cared for. This world is safe. This world will provide for me with exactly what I need. So that we can focus on the deeper, why are we here? What is the purpose of life? But usually, we spend our entire adult years trying to find safety, trying to find our value in some relationship, some other thing, some job, some career, some amount of money, because we never got that foundation. So many babies come into the womb and it's like the first response is, oh crap, I'm pregnant. And so literally that first impression is, I'm not wanted, I'm a burden. And the baby can feel that. And so it's how do we, through pregnancy and especially those 6 weeks postpartum, how do we really allow that soul to know that like you are safe, you are loved, you are wanted. And then the real work of parents is to just see the soul, see the soul within this little beautiful being, and encourage them to see it in all the ways.
This is such valuable information. Anyway, thanks for coming on.
It sounds like how to raise an undented can in the Kali Yuga.
As much as possible. Yeah. And it's literally there's a chapter on, it's called Newborn Mama, and it's really talking about motherhood as a spiritual path. Because Srila Prabhupada says that a mother's love is the closest thing that we can experience to the love that Krishna has for us. Like, wow, what an opportunity to first like grant this child the ability to experience something so close to the love that Krishna has for us. But then also for a mother, that opportunity to love that much, like it's something I've heard about my entire life, but any mamas on here, it's like, whoa, like that kind of love is unreal. It's unbelievable. And it's like the closest thing to unmotivated, uninterrupted love, which is bhakti.
So it's like you get interrupted when they're
you get interrupted all the time.
I was thinking, how Srila Prabhupada says like to chant like a baby calling out for his mother. And I was thinking like if Krishna has the response that a mama has, like, last night my baby woke up for probably like the 7th time, mama, mama. And you'd think like I'd be annoyed because I'm waking up so much, but it's like my heart is just like, what do you need, little one? Like, I'm right here. And so it's like, if Krishna has that response to us when we call out for him, it's amazing. And so if we can have that consciousness in raising our little ones, it's like
you're thinking that you're like representing God's love, and you can do it as a mother, and then you can learn to do it for the whole world, right?
That's the work. That's the work. Yeah.
Well, before you go, let's just mention, you've been such an essential player at the Bhakti Center over the years. Recently you and Vera, your husband, who was the executive director of the Bhakti Center, moved down to Florida. But you're still involved in so many ways, and you play. I should just I just want to say this too, is like the role that you played there was so important. It was like beyond teaching yoga and Ayurveda. One of your real roles there, under the direction of Raghunath Swami, was really to play this kind of community building role. And you were always just kind of putting on different events or inviting people into your home, and it was, it wasn't just like a secondary thing, but it was really essential to what the place was all about. Like creating that community mood. And so I just want to thank you for that. It was really, such an essential part of what the whole center is all about. But you're still teaching classes at the Bhakti Center online. And maybe you can share that. Beyond that, on the sister science, there's Ayurveda Mama Circle, right? There's all kinds of things to get involved with there. But what's happening at the Bhakti Center? What are you involved with there?
At the Bhakti Center, we have a 100-hour Foundations of Ayurveda training for anybody wanting to learn the foundations and integrate it into your life. And then after you do that, you are welcome to join our 200-hour Ayurveda Wellness Coach training, which whether or not you want to be a coach, we're in the midst of it right now, actually, but it's a powerful journey. It's transformational. It gives you the tools to begin to support other people in their journey in life, whether it's, again, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And then soon there'll be an Ayurveda Mama training. And so whether you're pregnant or a doula or want to support mamas on that beautiful journey of motherhood, that'll be coming out soon this year.
And so for that, you can go to bhakticenter.org. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much. You are all so inspiring to me, and I'm so grateful to be on here, Raghu and Kaustubha. Thank you, my spiritual brothers. I'm always inspired by you both.
Our love to the whole family down there.
I'll pass it on.
I miss all you guys.
I miss you guys so much. Good morning, everyone. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
It's okay if you have to go back with baby right now. Okay, so let's start our recap, Kaustubh.
All right, you want to chant the mantras?
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should first offer obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan and to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master, my teachers have removed the cataract from my eyes so I can see some light. I offer my obeisances to them.
All right. I do too.
Me too. All right.
So yeah, we were recapping, right?
We're recapping.
We got a little sidetracked into somehow discussing cow dung.
Well, you know, cow dung's important. That was a special cow dung episode, if you missed last week's show.
Yeah.
And we are on...
I think that was chapter... Canto 1. Chapter... I think that was chapter 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we're in chapter 18. Right, chapters 17, 18, and 19 kind of give us a picture of who Maharaj Parikshit was. He of course, he's going to be the person asking all the questions throughout the Bhagavatam, so we want to get to know him.
If you're new to the show, we just basically are recapping. We finished Cantos 1 and 2. There's 12 cantos in the Bhagavatam. Finished Cantos 1 and 2, and now we're doing the Cliff Notes. So if you missed them, we're catching you all up here. And we are on Canto 1, chapter... You said, what did you say, 17?
Well, yes. Well, 17, 18, and 19. We did 17. But like these last 3 chapters of the first canto, kind of, the first one is the punishment and reward of Kali, that Maharaj Parikshit saw that the earth was suffering, that Dharma was suffering, you know, and that the age of Kali was setting in. And so he, by controlling Kali, he gave relief to the earth and to Dharma. So fascinating chapter. And then chapter 18, he gets cursed.
Yeah, he gets cursed. He loses his cool.
He lost his cool just for a moment, right?
I tell you, you lose your cool for a moment, it could wreck everything. It's amazing.
Yeah.
He approached a sadhu sitting in meditation, and he was traveling through the forest. He's the emperor. So everybody's sort of, you know, it's just like if a head of state comes in, everybody stands up, what to speak of the emperor. So he arrives with his entourage. He sees a man sitting down at some forest ashram. He says, excuse me, can you give me a glass of water? The guy's in meditation, so he didn't even realize.
Yeah. He was super exhausted at the time, right? He was like...
The king was parched. He was hiking, he was parched. He was... Right. And excuse me, can I have a glass of water? Ignored. Apparently ignored. The guy's in meditation. Okay. Excuse me, I'm the emperor. Hello. Can I have a glass of water, please? Ignored. Finally, he's like, what is up with this guy? Is this guy faking it? Is he sincere? Whatever. Lying on the ground was a dead snake. And so sort of like in a mood of sort of like, who does this guy think he is? I'm the king. He's not even turning around to greet a guest. Doesn't he understand like what I do for everybody? Just offer me a glass of water. And so he picks up with his bow this dead snake, and he puts it around the neck of the sadhu. And he says, here is your garland, Maharaj. Now, of course, because this guy's a great soul, this meditator, he's not offended. He's barely even shocked by the whole thing. But his son was teenager, you know, one of those teenage mystics. It's like Sabrina the teenage
one of those teenage mystics, always causing trouble.
Do you remember Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
I never saw that. I think I missed out on that. Was that in the 90s or something?
But whatever, he was no, it was like from the 70s.
Oh, from Bewitched. Wait, from Bewitched?
No.
I don't know Sabrina.
Show.
Okay.
Anyway, my mom wasn't into all that witch stuff. So, but anyway, the point was the teenager got upset that the father was cursed.
Yeah.
Who does this guy think he is? This king? Doesn't he know the Brahmins are the heads of society? How dare he? How dare he do this to my father? I curse him now that he will die in 7 days.
How will he die?
He will die. You know how he's going to die? He's going to die by a. He couldn't decide if it was going to die by a bird or a snake. So he said, I'm just going to die. He's going to die by a snake bird.
Snake bird. Bite of the snake bird.
Some type of bite. Yeah, the bite of a snake bird. So
Yeah.
that was the curse that he got, that the emperor got. Now, the emperor was a good guy, actually. You know, sometimes good guys screw up.
He had a bad moment. That was it.
He had a bad moment. He had a bad moment, made a bad choice.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that choice, now all of his ministers were like, look, you offended this young boy. You should just go apologize to the boy. The boy will remove the curse. But Maharaj Parikshit, he was such like a realized being. He said, you know, I got a curse. I did something wrong. I'm just going to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to accept it. And because he accepted it, that acceptance is a big thing, right? Once you accept what you got, it relieves so much pain. And so he said, I'm going to install my son on the throne. And I'm going to, you know, finish my business here at the office, at the emperor's palace. And I'm going to go to the forest and I'm going to find a guru. And I'm going to figure out what is my actual, I've had all these material duties. Hey, I've been a dad. That's a duty. I've been an Ayurvedic mama. That's a duty, right? I've been a teacher or a friend or a son. I've been a son. I've had a business. We've have so many things that have to be wrapped up. I'm going to wrap them all up because I actually have a spiritual, and I don't just have duties in this world. I also, and this is true for all of us, we have duties in this world and we have spiritual duties. Like I have a debt. If I was to die today, I would get on the phone with my mom and say, Mom, thank you. I owe you some. I owe you a lot. I'll never repay you, but I want to know. I just want you to know, thank you. And I would go to people like that who I feel like I'm in debt to because I have a material debt. But everybody here also has a spiritual debt. We have a spiritual debt to Lord Sri Krishna. And at that time, when we realized, okay, this is it. I have to get focused on my eternal debt. And that's what this sannyas is, or this fully letting go of our material existence or my identity as a person of this material world. Now, we're trying to sort of practice that now, but we have our feet. We're trying to cross a river with our feet in each canoe, right? Because, you know, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a son, I have a business. But at the same time, we're trying to cultivate every morning with this Bhagavatam that we actually have, you know, a spiritual life too. I can't neglect that. I can't put that on the back burner and hope that it just shows up at the time of death. I have to cultivate my entire life. And so so now he's finally getting this like wake up call. But because he's cultivated his entire life, he's like, okay, it's time. And he lets go of that material identity like it's nothing. Right?
Yeah.
It's very beautiful, you know?
It's, you know, it's such a fascinating chapter because you get, you know, the Shamika Rishi, who's the one that he put the snake on, right? He was the meditating mystic sadhu who King Parikshit put the snake on. You get to see his character. You get to see Maharaj Parikshit's character, and you also get to see the character of Shringi, the troublesome teenage mystic, right?
They should make like a TV show. The troublesome teenage mystic boy.
But you know, the response from Shamika Rishi, who was the one that actually got offended, right? He was the one, you know, that like he could have taken offense. He took absolutely no offense. He's like, hold it. His whole response was, oh, maybe he put that snake on me. Maybe he got upset. It's certainly I didn't do anything wrong. I was in meditation. I didn't know, but this is understandable. Even great people, you know, screw up sometimes. I'm not going to it was kind of the opposite of the cancel culture thing, right? Like the Shringy was like, cancel him right now with a snake bird bite. Right? But
The funny thing
Shami
about cancel
Kurishi,
culture and Shama Kurishi.
yeah, so Shama Kurishi was like, no. He sat down with his son and he said, what you've done is a terrible thing. This man is so good. The whole reason why we have the freedom in the atmosphere in which to do our spiritual practices is because he's out there every day, taking the responsibility to run the state. And he does it in such a beautiful, fantastic, selfless, loving way. And over this little trifle, you've gotten all upset and you've cursed him.
You said that before, right? This is the opposite of cancel culture. It's extend the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
That someone's going through a hard time or went through a tough time. Why discredit all of their good qualities for some mishap?
Right. And so he sends word, he sends a messenger to go see Maharaj Pariksit saying, I'm really sorry about this, but my son has cursed you. And, he's potent. When he curses, it works, so please forgive me and please prepare yourself, because you're going to die in 7 days. And then, as you're saying, then you get to see Maharaj Parikit's response. He wasn't like, what the hell? Like, this was just like a little thing. And then like, now you're going on and on. Right. He was like, what have I done? I really messed up there. I made a big mistake. I deserve the curse, I really screwed up. And it's said that he had the power, because he was spiritually powerful, he had the power to counteract it.
Right. It's not like he was a schlep. He was like completely a focused, empowered emperor with mystic powers, probably himself. But the point you're bringing up is huge, because how everybody reacted is the way Vaishnavas act. So you have renunciate who's like, oh, I hope I didn't hurt this king's feeling. The emperor is such a powerful person, and he glorifies the emperor to his son. And then the emperor himself doesn't want revenge. Like, if you were cursed, you'd be like, that little punk, who does he think he is cursing me? Yeah. He's like, okay, I'll take it. Everybody's just like calm about everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And
troublesome.
Yeah. And so he, rather than try to counteract it even, he says, I'm going to accept it. And this is significant too, because not only was he spiritually powerful, but he was like materially opulent. He had, fame and power and, all kinds of opulences, material opulences, wealth and all of that. And you could see just how detached he was. He's like, okay, I'm eternal. I will, and none of these things define me, or in my happiness, and the quality of my life is not dependent on any of these external things. So I'm willing to let go, but I want to do it in the best way possible, right? I really want to do this right. And so that's going to lead to the conversation in the Bhagavatam. Right?
What a great setup for a great story.
Yeah. So what does he do?
So, so he goes to the forest and he fasts for 7 days, finds a guru, and asks these very, very relevant questions that sound like they're relevant for a man dying, but we are all men or women dying. We just have no idea when the end point will be. We just figure out, I'm going to die someday. Well, it's almost a blessing to understand, to really deeply understand, like at any moment or in 7 days, because what it does is we don't waste time. We don't waste resources. We don't waste words. And we get really, really focused. And we start to really realize this life is what is valuable and what is not so valuable. What is petty? What is petty? What is my petty arguments, my petty resentment that I'm carrying around with me on a regular basis and is a burden for me and is cheating me at the very sweetness of life? I definitely probably say some I'm sorry's. Hey, forgive me. Hey, I made a mistake. If I was very focused on my spiritual life, I'd make those calls if I knew I was going to die in 7 days, and I'd stop my time wasting,
Right. Yeah. Even if, like you're saying, even if even if there was some rational reasons for this stuff, ultimately it's all petty, right? Like I could hold resentment against this person and be in a battle, or I could just say, you know what, I'm sorry, and just move on, right?
Why do you think me and my man Kent from Northern California have our skull collection?
Okay,
That's
I didn't
why
know
we
Kent had
do
one.
it. That's why Darcy sent me those skulls.
Uh-huh.
They just remind you of the temporality of existence. Why do you think I have picnics in graveyards, Kaustubha? To remind me.
Do you? I didn't know you
Yes.
did. Okay.
Yes, I do. So I read the graves and I meditate on their lives.
Wow. Okay. You know, I saw something today, a little statement. I thought it was interesting. I think you'll like it, Raghu. It said, "The first to apologize is the bravest.
Ooh,
The first to
hard.
the first to apologize is the bravest. The first to forgive is the strongest. And the first to forget is the happiest." What do you think about that?
That's a tattoo. That's a tattoo.
That's a tattoo. The first to apologize is the bravest. Do we want to be brave, or do we want to be like, cowardly our whole life, right?
Mara, can you put that up on the board, please? That's a good one.
The first to apologize is the bravest.
That I'm going to memorize right now. First to
Okay.
forgive is the bravest.
No. First to apologize is the bravest. First to forgive is the strongest.
First to forget is the happiest.
All right.
Everybody's writing it down. Good.
Okay. Yeah, nice. So you can see that, like, Marsh Prickett, that he was living that, right? Shamika Rishi, he was living that. So now Marsh Prickett, he's like, okay, I accept the curse. I'm willing to walk away from all of my power and all of my opulence and all of, the wealth that I have, all of the fame that I have. None of this is really important, right? What's important is my spiritual life, my focus, my connection to that divine root of all existence, to God. And so he goes off to the riverbank, and there's a gathering of, obviously the word has spread, this is what's going on. And so there's a gathering there of many super elevated spiritual beings, right? And they're all gathered around. Now, big names are there, right? Vyasadeva is there.
Big names. Big name Munis.
Big name sadhus, big name Munis, big name yogis, big name mystics.
And demigods. The demigods appeared.
Devas were there as well. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, higher beings, aka ancient aliens, appeared to hear from Sukadeva Goswami.
Yeah. Well, this is even even before Sukadeva shows up, though, right? He's there with all these sages, and he asks that question, what is the duty of a human being, particularly when they're about to die? What should they do? What should they not do? And so he's got everybody around, and he asks that question. And then right at that moment is like the big cinematic moment, right?
Strutting in.
Is this 16-year-old? Here's another teenager another teenage mystic, but one that wasn't troublesome.
Yeah, this was the undented can.
Undented teenage mystic.
He didn't even want to come out of the womb because he didn't want to deal with the material world. Is that correct?
Yeah, he was even we're talking about Ayurveda Mama and the consciousness and how, the child in the womb and all of that. So he was hearing Bhagavatam in the womb, right? He had this deep spiritual understanding, and he didn't want to come out. He was like, I don't want to get involved in all that.
I don't want to get messed up with the material world.
I'm better off right here. So after a very long pregnancy, he comes out. And, he's trained in all that by his father, Vyasadeva. You can't get a better teacher than that. But he's almost on another level of depth of spirituality. And it's apparent just in seeing him.
Like he has no clothes on.
He doesn't even wear clothes.
He doesn't wear clothes.
But,
Don't try
there's...
this at home.
What's that?
Don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home.
Don't walk around thinking I'm spiritual. I'm not going to wear clothes.
Yeah.
He was not of this world.
Exactly.
He was, what's the word for that? Avadut?
Avaduta. Yeah. One that the rules and the regulations of this world just don't apply to.
He just can't understand this world. So he's just walking around almost like a madman. But it's different than a madman because everybody could see a purity in this person's eyes and this person's face. and they just followed him. Like
Yeah.
people would just follow this person around.
And well, there's an example. The example is given that he was wandering like this, right? Naked and just in his, I don't know if you call it a trance, but like in his deep state of consciousness. And he passed by this like small, I guess like a pond, where these young ladies were bathing, right? And they're bathing naked. And in India, even to this day, you see like, okay, that's where the ladies bathe in the river. They're over there. You know, the men will stay over on this side, you know, so people can go in and
There's no
bathe in
co-ed
peace.
swimming.
Yeah,
At least
okay.
it probably changed, but it wasn't
but
like that.
particularly if they're bathing, you know.
Yeah.
And so he passes by these young ladies bathing, and they're all naked, but when they see him, their natural response would be to immediately, you know, cover themselves. But they can just, all of them, without, you know, without every single one of them kind of simultaneously, individually felt no need for that.
Mhm.
Something deep in the heart told them, oh, this person is just like, there's no lust in this person. There's no this, you know, there's no, they felt absolutely no need. And then trying to find his son, chasing after him, was Vyasadeva. He passed the same girls. Now this is Vyasadeva, right?
He's Vyasadeva. He's a liberated soul. He's a Shakti avatar.
Yeah, he yeah, he wrote all the Vedic literature. You know, everything we know about yoga and meditation all comes from him. And when he passed the girls, they all covered themselves up.
Like they all felt.
Yeah, it was, they were asked, you know, why when I walked by, you know, did you cover up? When he walked by, you didn't. We could just sense, you know, that he was entirely otherworldly.
Not of this world.
Yeah. So at that moment when Maharaj Pariksit, he's accepted his fate, which is a big thing. He's let go of everything, and there's no resentment, there's no attachment. He's ready to die. And he asked this question of all the sages, you know, what is the duty of a human being? What should they do? What should they not do? Particularly when they're about to die. And then right then in walks, you know, because it's kind of like, well, who should answer, you know? But right then in walks Sukadeva Goswami, 16 years old, naked. It's described that he was like very beautiful, like handsome and everything, you know? But he's kind of like, you know, his face is kind of covered with his hair, and you know, he's just like, and he's got people following him, like there's especially like women and children, they're just like attracted to him, and they're like following behind him, like this big whole entourage walks in, you know. So it's a real scene.
Yeah.
And they all see him, and immediately everyone's kind of like, okay, he's the one that's meant to answer this question.
Yeah.
And so he's given a seat of honor, even though he's younger, right? But he was being respected for the depth of his spiritual understanding, right? The depth of his spiritual realization, which is another important point, you know.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with age. There's definitely people a lot younger than me who are much more realized than me. There's people who sort of, I feel like I got into bhakti. I got you into it, and you're more evolved than me. It's unfair.
It's unfair.
And I think it's okay. There's no timeline like I joined the ashram in 1988 and you joined in 1990. I got 2 years of spirituality over you. You know, that doesn't work like that. It's nice if we are in that position. Like I like to look at people who are senior to me and treat them in that regard.
Yeah.
In the biggest picture, right? We're all just like spirit souls. And I always use that analogy of, you know, suppose, you know, Mara was a very evolved Christian priest in her previous life.
She may have been possible.
Yeah, Father Mara. And but she didn't really reach perfection, but she died. And Kaustubha was a wonderful housewife, just a nice housewife, a good woman. And I was a criminal. I was like a dirty, nasty, murderous criminal.
Okay.
And then in our next life, we take birth on the same block. We all play stickball together, kick the can together, and we're just born in some American neighborhood. And when we're 15, we meet an evolved spiritual Swami or Swamini, and the person like inspires us on a spiritual life. And we all join the ashram together. Now, we all joined on the same day. Does that mean we're equal? No. I mean, Mara in a previous life was already very evolved. Kaustubha was very pious, and I was a criminal. I have to work out all my criminal mental activities that I'm carrying with me from a previous life. And Mara was already evolved in her spiritual life.
Yeah. And I just want to make you some brownies or something like that.
Yeah, spiritual brownies. And Kaustubha was very pious, so he just sort of picks up from there. So there is no sort of like, we're all equal. We're all practicing life right now. You want to know what you're going to be like in your next life? Look at your life right now. Right? It's just a continuum. And so that's why we're trying to up our game a little bit.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I like what the point that you made is just like, if someone is older than me, then still the culture is that we show them the respect, right? But then if that older person says, you know what, you are more spiritually advanced, you're the one that needs to answer this question, then there's some resistance, right? Yeah. No. That's Vaishnava culture. That's the yogi culture, you know, that you want to show respect to others and you're not concerned with respect, being honored yourself. Let's put it that way. You're not concerned with that.
Yeah, we're not being pushy for validation, not being pushy for validation, trying to deflect that validation, give credit to others, appreciate others. No, you lead the kirtan. I'm not qualified to lead the kirtan. You lead the kirtan. Oh no, I'm not qualified. You lead the kirtan.
So he shows up on the scene, and then he's asked, Burkett says to him, "You are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. I'm therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for a person who's about to die." And he says, "Please let me know what a person should hear, what they should chant, what they should remember, and what they should worship." All of that's, that's the cliffhanger. That's the end of the first canto.
Oh, tell me. Well, this is the thing, because we're doing all of that all day anyway, right? I'm looking around the Zoom board. We got Jillian, Isabel, Joshua, Moody. We're all speaking. We're all hearing, right? We're all remembering. Yeah. And we're all worshiping. Now, people say,
one way or another.
We're worshiping.
Yeah.
You've got heroes, you've got posters, you've got novels, you've got authors, you've got TV shows. We're all doing some type of worship. We're all when we're sitting down, putting our head on the pillow, we're all remembering something, right? We're all speaking about something on a regular basis. Hey, what's up? And we're speaking about something, and we're all inquiring and asking questions. And the real question is, what is the topic of the conversation, of the remembrance, of the speech? What's in your head?
Yeah.
What's in your head?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, you're right. It's like, it's true. Everyone's worshiping, everyone's meditating, right?
We're all meditating.
But it's just a question of, what you honor, and idolize, and what you think about, that's what you're meditating on. That's what you're worshiping. I heard a story once, a true story, about a woman who was a Bhakti-yogi. And it was like, I think it was like in a Muslim country. And she was having, I think it was like, she was like in a garage, like she needed her car to be fixed. And so she's speaking to like the mechanic or the guy that owned the garage or whatever. And he's asking about her religion and her faith. And how like it's not uncommon in like a place like that guys have these calendars up, like with models, right? And they're like leaning against
mechanics.
What's that? I'm not trying to put them all in one box, but in a garage like that, you might see a poster, of a woman with her, in a bikini, like,
riding a Harley.
Yeah, or working on a car, or leaning against a car, or whatever. Yeah, so like they've got those kind of posters around, And so this man is like asking her about her religion, and she's describing it, and then he's like saying, "But it's so wrong to worship a form, And she says, "What are you talking about? You're worshiping forms here." Right?
All worshiping forms.
Yeah. So yeah, our meditation, our worship, our adoration, it's everyone's meditating on something. Everybody's worshiping something. It's just a question of where you focus it.
Money. These are deep meditations that people like focus on every day in a deep way. My money, or that body or my own body. That's why sometimes in the name of health, sometimes people that are real, they're the sickest because they're just, my body is me, my abs are me, my butt is me, my thighs, my biceps are me. If you really want to get crazy, get like obsessed with health to the point where you're obsessed and you think you are the body. And that's what the whole idea behind yoga is, that you're not the body. And why are we doing all this yoga, up dog, down dog stuff? Because the body is just a gift that we're maintaining so we can give back. It's not to like impress people with. If I'm leaning into my ego with my body, I'm defeating the whole purpose of yoga in the first place. I have to like detach myself from my ego.
There you go.
It creates a kooky mind.
Yeah, that's why we have to remember too. It's like meditation is powerful. What you focus your mind on really determines everything. And that's oh yeah, okay. A little Gita verse there. Why don't you share the translation?
Yum yum bapi. No, I can't remember. I just said it. Yum yum bapi.
Yum yum vapi smaram, to remember.
Smaram, whatever you remember at
Bhavam.
the time of death, right? To that you will attain.
Yeah. So that's right. So even particularly in terms of the next birth, what we're meditating on, this life counts, and how. But we should remember. Like like us yoga practitioners, us people that are trying to practice meditation, we sit down, we try to focus the mind. It's not easy. We bring it to certain, we focus it, on certain substance, whether it be mantra or whatever it may be. We do that with faith, knowing that can change everything, where we bring that mind, where we focus. That's why we're here in Bhagavatam, bringing our mind to Bhagavatam every day. But then we step away from that focused practice. Now, our mind is still going to go different places. And when it goes somewhere, with concentration, particularly, that molds the mind just like when we're sitting in meditation. That shapes us just like when we're sitting in meditation. Wherever the mind goes with that kind of focus. So, our mind, what will it become focused on? Will it become focused on television and the images, and the sounds that television is presenting, or films, right? Because when you sit down, you get absorbed in film, just go ahead and call that meditation. Right?
Just call it meditation.
Yeah, because that's where you've brought your mind with a focus, and that's going to shape your mind, in a powerful way. That's why things like pornography, because it's such a deep, absorption, it completely captures the mind,
and
and then
gives you a quick fix, which creates a powerful samskara.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then it gets addictive, then your mind is going to be shaped by that, so whatever it is, or like you often bring up, like if it's politics or, those kind of, a lot of people, they particularly as people get older and they're retired and they don't really know how to fill their hours, and they spend like the whole day just like watching these, these news networks.
They just let them run.
They let them run all day in the house.
She just lets it run while she's sleeping.
Yeah.
I was like, you're programming yourself, your subconscious, Mom. What are you doing?
Yeah.
The Weather Channel. Just watch keep the Weather Channel on.
Yeah. And I think maybe people do that kind of thing just so they don't feel alone or something like that. But like you get absorbed in that news and you get caught into it 24 hours. That's become your meditation. All of the, the anxiety that's built into that, and the you could even say the hatred that's built into that,
Anxiety cells,
Yeah. Yeah. So then that just, that becomes your meditation, so everybody's meditating, everyone's worshiping. So this was the question that, that Parikshit put before Sukadeva Goswami. What should we hear? And this will come up later in Bhagavatam, right? When Prahlad speaks, this great devotee is asked by his demon father, what did you learn in school today? Right? But he wasn't learning the typical school stuff. He was focused on bhakti. So, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padaseva, Shravanam, what you hear. and kirtanam, what you chant, and smarnam, what you remember, archanam, in a sense, what you worship, how should we focus our time? How should we focus our mind? How should we focus, in a sense, when you say worship, you're saying, how should I focus my heart? Right.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. Yeah. So how do I focus what I hear? How do I focus what I say, what I chant? How do I focus what I remember? And where should I focus what I worship? This was the question that the whole Bhagavatam stems from.
Kaustubha, this brings me to a question that you answered, I think it was Saturday.
Yeah.
People were saying like, I've got, this person was a monk, and then they were trying to find a balance in the material world. Like, I need a little bit of Maya,
Right,
in my life, just because it gets too intense. I listen to the Bhagavatam, I listen to the show on a regular basis, but is having a little bit of Maya, the idea, it brings up the point, like, it depending on what that Maya is, it can have a very detrimental effect, because it's something like you were saying, masturbation or pornography, where you're just like, where your mind is deeply into this. That is a lot different than saying going backpacking or going, mountain climbing.
Yes, right.
One is going to really derail you. So yeah, if you are peppering your spiritual life with some Maya, that high level sattvic Maya, where you're sort of connected to the out there, it's a lot different, because there's a lot of Maya out there that can really throw you right off the tracks. And so, in defense of Maya,
just choose it carefully.
Choose your Maya carefully. It's like if you're spicing a soup, if you're just dumping a whole thing of chilies in there, you got to be a little careful.
You're gonna get burnt.
Yeah. So these tamasic activities can really throw us off course.
Okay. So that's the big cliffhanger. That's where the first canto ends. That we've in the first few chapters, what the Bhagavatam is and who Krishna is established. I think it was in the chapters 4 and 5. We hear this conversation back and forth between Narada and Vyasadeva, and Vyasa gets the order to write the Bhagavatam. And then we hear really who Krishna is and how he's the shelter of everyone. We hear it out of the mouth of Kunti. We hear it out of the mouth of Bhishma. We get to hear out of the mouth of Vidura, out of the mouth of Arjuna. Same kind of message. Don't waste this life. Reconnect with your divine root, Sri Krishna, and that solves everything, Then we get to hear about the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, and then we get to hear about how Maharaj Parikshit handles the age of Kali and restores the earth, restores this, a better situation for the earth and for Dharma. And so now we trust him, we know he's one of the Pandavas. He's just as great as all of them. He's trustworthy, he's noble, he's righteous. Then we get to see how he responds to that curse. He's deeply spiritual and renounced. And then we get to see him approach, the ultimate guru in the form of Sukadeva Goswami. And then he asks the most important question, and that's where we're left. And that's the end. That's the very end of the first canto.
It's so funny how it's like this thousands of years ago. What does this have to do with my life? I live in a whole different world. It's got everything to do with your life. We're all different. I get that. But our stories are different, but we're so much the same. We all have some stuff, and we're all going to lose some stuff. And we have no idea when we're going to lose that stuff. And then we're going to lose our body. And then what are we meditating on? What are we speaking about? What are we remembering? Who's the company we're keeping? And what should be my focus? And so this is the Bhagavatam thousands of years ago. And it's the actual Bhagavatam today. And this is what we're like retraining our thoughts to be, retraining our speech to be, retraining our memory to be, retraining our singing to be.
Oh, by the way, in 1 hour at 7 a.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be on Chaitanya Charan's podcast, the Monk Podcast.
Say that again?
The Monk Podcast. I'm going on the Monk Podcast.
What's the Monk Podcast?
That's Chaitanya Charan's, interview podcast.
Oh man,
who we had on, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I think I'll be sharing it on Facebook Live probably. So if you want to find it there.
Okay. Bob Heal is teaching gentle yoga at supersoulyoga.com. I'm teaching my butt kicking yoga class with 15 minutes of Gita. I'm going to be doing this live with Bob Healy tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
And thanks everybody for joining us. Vegan Trucker's already rocking out, causing trouble on Interstate 90.
I think you moved the music a little farther from the mic, Raghu.
Okay, there you go. I got a new setup today I'm working with.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for joining us the first time. If you're new to the show, welcome. Make sure you write a review on Apple Podcasts. It really makes a difference. Subscribe makes a difference. If you're on YouTube, comment makes a difference. YouTube can make a difference. Thank you very much for joining us. Let us sing. Swami.